Okay, so we went bracket racing the other day for first time, and first time I really got to have truck under power on dirt that I could just let it go. You know, do a few test hits out in the backyard, but I run out of room. So we went over to a greens drag strip over in Henderson, Michigan. People were really cool over there. Got truck teched in, met the guy that runs the place. He was real decent, had a bunch of knowledge. Everybody was really friendly. So we took the truck out, time trial, figure out what this thing was going to run. And the guy racing next to me, he had some badass Jeep, and that thing would haul ass. And I slept at the light because I'm not used to, using the light. So it looked like I was fucking sitting still, which is funny to me. And truck ran 55 at I think it was 5.8 seconds. So I went back, got back in line, did the next time trial, and truck ran a 5.8 at 58 mile an hour. But the RPMs don't come up like it should. There's not a lot of torque, and I think the tires are a little bit too big for this. It's got a 410 gear, but it's just not designed for the specific thing I need when I'm in the dirt. Street's fine, not in the dirt. So I need to drop down to either a 456 gear, which I don't want to go through all the hassle. I think it'd just be smarter to drop to like a 30-inch tire and then put a set of paddles and then just have that only for, going on the dunes or taking to the dirt drags. The other thing I found out was the truck is getting shifted way too high. I went back and looked at the dyno sheets and watched the dyno video again. It's making peak torque about 4,800, and I'm shifting it about 57 up towards the higher horsepower. So I think I'm going to set the shift light to 4,800, and then maybe I'll go back, July, maybe beginning of August. I'd be careful because I got a baby on the way, and I don't want to be away from home too close to the due date. And I want to see if that plus a smaller tire will give me the speed, because it's like 200 feet, 250 feet before I'm hitting second gear in 4 high. If I try running 4 low, the truck's going to tack out because it'll do it out here in the back within 150 feet or so. It's all the way up on the rev limiter. So I definitely want to get a smaller set of tires and cut them, and then try that again. I think it'll pick up some speed, because when I short shifted on one run, I was racing a red Jeep, and that was first round, first race. He red lighted, but he still got on me because I slept on the light again. I had a hard time with the light, and I shifted about halfway down the track, and it picked up 3 mile an hour. And it also went a 5.72, I think. And the next time I went out, I did the same thing, and it picked up in that 58 mile an hour range. So I was picking up 3 mile an hour, shifting at mid-track. And it wasn't even close to $5,000 yet. So we're going to try that. And then also I still got the little carb stumble, so off the line it dropped. I tried holding it on the converter, and the truck just wanted to go, and then it just bogged. So I think we're going to put a smaller squirter in it and see what that does. But for the most part, truck ran fine. We didn't break nothing. The only thing that I found was back when I dropped a piece of metal in the motor, when I put the intake back on the China rails here, I put a bunch of Right Stuff silicone, and there's a little bit of oil here. And I looked around, I couldn't find any places where that came from. So I think there's just a little hole on there, because I drove the truck around say a week or so ago, and it ran fine, and the hood's always off it when it's in the garage and shit, so there was no oil. But when I was running it hard out there, because I just stood on it and I just let it go, and I think it was building just a little bit of pressure. Maybe it was jumping up there and pushing it out just a little bit. So other than that, that's about it. Truck, for the most part, did good. It was consistent. It was just me. But I got to get this thing cleaned up, because it's dirty. And I'm really impressed by these outerwear filters. For one, I got just a little bit of oil right here that I need to clean off. It's hard to see, but all this little dust I can see on the outsides of the filter, and I can also see it on this one right here. So I'm pretty impressed by their products that they got, because otherwise this filter would just be packed full, because it was dusty. They watered the track down, and they were doing the best they could. It's so dry here in Michigan without the rain, and it was dusty. So the inside truck's all dust, but I think we're gonna try it again. But I was finally glad I could go out and race the truck. I've been waiting all this time to be able to do it, and it seems like one thing after another, but we didn't win, but it was still fun. So they've been running every other weekend over there, and they run point series, but there's not a lot of people either, but I really enjoyed it there, and I wouldn't mind going back. So I didn't place, but had fun. Especially got to take the wife with me, so she never really gets to go to any of these. So even though she's pregnant, we still got to put her in the Silverado, so when it got hot, she could just cool off. So anyway, that's all I got for now. Hopefully next couple videos here we can get some other things buttoned up. I still want to go and put some metal under on top of the drive shaft loop, because it's made for pretty much a back aft car, and I had to extend it, and it's pretty flimsy, and I want to beef it up just in case it breaks, because if it breaks, it's gonna bend some shit for sure. Just didn't have time to get to it, and I didn't think about it before I left. And then I got to go through my steering. I'll make a short video on that, because you can't buy a steering box stabilizer for an S10 because they're not a straight axle. So I kind of made my own, and we'll see how it does. The racetrack was the first place I tested it, and it seemed to hold up, so I'm not too worried if I take it out on the street now, because I was worried about taking it out of the street and that didn't work. But you'll see a video on that pretty soon. But I just want to give you guys an update that watch me. Appreciate you guys watching me, and hopefully next time we'll be able to run this thing again. So stay tuned. Take care.